The evening sun dipped behind the distant hills, casting long shadows over Jerusalem. The city, once bustling with activity during the day, was now quiet, save for the faint hum of distant voices and the rustling of the wind through olive trees. The air was thick with a mixture of dust, disappointment, and the lingering scent of incense from the temple. 2 disciples, their hearts heavy and minds swirling with turmoil, walked along the dusty road leading away from the city. Their names were Cleopas and his companion, whose name history has not preserved. They had followed Jesus throughout his ministry, listened to his teachings, witnessed his miracles, and believed he was the promised Messiah sent by God. Yet now everything had changed. Their steps were slow, almost dragging as they processed their grief. The events of the past days replayed relentlessly in their minds: the arrest of Jesus in Gethsemane, the mockery and beating he endured, the trial before Pilate, the crucifixion, and finally, the death of their Lord. The sight of his battered body on the cross haunted their memories. The tomb was sealed, and the stone rolled into place. Their hope had been buried with him. As they walked, their conversation was subdued. Words struggled to find their way through the grief that clouded their hearts. The sky was turning a dusky pink, shadows lengthening across the landscape, as if the entire world mourned along with them. Suddenly, a stranger approached, walking alongside them. He was a man, perhaps in his early 30s, with a calm demeanor and eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories. He was dressed simply, yet there was an air of kindness about him. Without greeting, he asked, "What are you discussing as you walk?" The disciples exchanged glances, surprised by this stranger's question, especially since they looked so absorbed in their sorrow. Cleopas hesitated, then responded cautiously, "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who does not know what has happened these days?" The stranger looked at them with gentle curiosity. "What things?" he asked softly. They hesitated again, then began to pour out their hearts, voices trembling with emotion. "About Jesus of Nazareth," Cleopas said. "He was a prophet, powerful in deed and word before God and all the people. We had hoped he was the one to redeem Israel. But now everything has fallen apart. It's been 3 days since these things happened, and some women among us amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning and found it empty. They saw angels who told them Jesus was alive, but we haven't seen him with our own eyes. Our hope is fading, and our hearts are heavy." The stranger listened patiently, as if he already knew what they were saying but wanted to hear it from them. When they finished, he responded with words that pierced through their despair. "Foolish ones and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory?" He then began to open the scriptures, explaining how the entire story of salvation had been foretold, how Moses and the prophets had spoken of the Messiah's suffering, death, and resurrection. The stranger's words resonated deeply, like a gentle balm soothing wounded spirit. They felt their hearts stir within them as he explained, and suddenly, they saw the scriptures in a new light. The sun was now fully set, casting a deep orange hue across the landscape. The journey was nearing its end, but the disciples' hearts were awakening to a new hope. As they approached the village of Emmaus, the stranger appeared to be about to go further, but the disciples, moved by a mixture of curiosity and longing, urged him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, and the day is almost over." He agreed, and they entered a humble home. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken questions and a flicker of anticipation. The disciples prepared a simple meal: bread, some wine, perhaps a few dried fruits or olives. Jesus took the bread, looked up to heaven, gave thanks, broke it, and handed it to them. In that sacred act, the breaking of bread, their eyes suddenly opened. The veil was lifted. They saw him, Jesus, alive and risen. It was as if the entire world stood still at that moment. Recognition flooded their hearts, and in that instant, Jesus vanished from their sight. They sat in stunned silence, overwhelmed by what they had just experienced. Their hearts pounded fiercely in their chests, and tears welled up in their eyes. They looked at each other, whispering in awe, "Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" The realization hit them with full force. Jesus was alive. The resurrection was real. Their despair had been replaced with joy, their confusion with clarity. Without hesitation, they rose from the table and hurried back the way they had come, through the darkness of night. Their steps quickened, fueled by excitement and renewed faith. They could not keep this news to themselves. The journey that once was filled with sorrow was now bursting with hope. When they arrived in Jerusalem, they found the disciples gathered in a room, anxious and restless. The news spread quickly. Their story of the walk, the scriptures, and the moment at the table when they recognized Jesus. The disciples listened intently, their eyes wide with amazement and hope. "He is alive," Cleopas declared. "We saw him with our own eyes." The room erupted into joy and disbelief. The resurrection was no longer a myth or a story for the past. It was a living reality, changing everything. This encounter, the walk to Emmaus, became a cornerstone of faith, reminding believers that Jesus often walks alongside us unrecognized, explaining Scripture, revealing truth, and igniting hearts with His presence. It teaches us that even in our darkest moments of disappointment and grief, Jesus is near, patiently revealing Himself when we are ready to see. The story encourages us to be attentive to His presence in our daily lives, through the Scriptures, through acts of kindness, and through the breaking of bread. It reminds us that Jesus is alive, resurrected and reigning, walking with us on every journey. And perhaps most importantly, it shows us that our hearts, no matter how broken or burdened, can burn with hope once Jesus opens our eyes and reveals Himself. His resurrection is not merely a historical event but a living promise. He is alive today, walking with us, revealing Himself in ways that stir our hearts and renew our faith. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. I truly appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this story and found it meaningful, please consider subscribing to the channel to stay updated with more content like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends and family. Your support helps me create more videos and share inspiring stories with a wider audience. Feel free to leave comments below. I love hearing your thoughts and feedback. Stay blessed, and see you in the next video.